We all like to complain about our 9-to-5s, but unless your morning commute involves dodging a literal landslide or getting bit by a creature that shouldn't exist, you're probably doing all right. While most of the world is worried about Wi-Fi speeds and office politics, there are people out there whose daily to-do list is a game of Russian roulette. Today, we're looking at 15 modern jobs that prove the paycheck is sometimes written in blood, and why you couldn't pay us enough to do them. Sulfur miners. In places like the Ijen volcano in Indonesia, workers spend their days inside an active volcanic crater, harvesting solid chunks of sulfur. They carry loads weighing up to 200 pounds or 95 kilos on their shoulders while navigating steep, rocky terrain. The catch? They are constantly engulfed in thick clouds of toxic sulfuric volcanic gases that burn their lungs and eyes. Most do this with nothing more than a wet cloth over their mouths for protection. It's a job that literally takes your breath away permanently, all for $13 a day. Satcom tower climbers. This isn't for the person who gets dizzy on a stepladder. These technicians climb narrow metal structures around the world that can reach heights of 2,000 feet or 600 meters to perform maintenance. At those altitudes, the wind can whip at 60 miles or 79 kilometers per hour, and the tower itself can sway several feet in either direction. One slip or a structural failure means a fall that lasts long enough to contemplate all your life choices. It is officially one of the highest fatality rate jobs in the electrical industry. Saturation divers. These divers live in pressurized chambers for weeks at a time to work on subsea infrastructure hundreds of feet or meters below the surface in the Gulf of Mexico, the North Sea, and the Middle East. Because the pressure is so intense, they have to breathe a special helium-oxygen mix that makes them sound like Donald Duck while they perform heavy construction. The danger isn't just the water, it's the decompression. If the pressurized habitat fails, their blood would literally boil as the gases come out of solution instantly. It's like living in a soda can that's always about to be shaken. Snake milkers. Medical researchers need venom to create antivenom and treat heart conditions, which means someone has to get it. Snake milkers in Australia, China, Thailand, Kenya, and the southwestern US spend their days handling some of the world's most lethal predators, including king cobras and black mambas. They have to physically pin the snake's head and force its fangs into a glass jar. One mistake means a trip to the ER if you're lucky. It's the only job where your co-workers are actively trying to kill you before lunch. Smoke jumpers. While most firefighters drive to a fire, these elite specialists parachute into it. They are dropped into remote, inaccessible wilderness areas to battle forest fires that haven't been contained yet. They carry all their own gear, often weighing 100 pounds or 45 kilos, and have to be self-sufficient for days in the middle of a literal inferno. If the wind shifts or the terrain traps them, there is no quick exit. It's basically extreme camping, but with more soot and significantly higher stakes. Underwater welders. This job combines the crushing pressure of deep-sea diving with the high-voltage electricity of industrial welding. Divers deal with limited visibility, freezing temperatures, and the constant risk of differential pressure, where a leak in a pipe can suck a diver through a hole the size of a coin. There is also the risk of explosions caused by trapped hydrogen and oxygen pockets. It's a career path that requires nerves of steel and a very high life insurance policy. Bush pilots. In places like Alaska or the Amazon, bush pilots fly small, often aging aircraft into unpaved makeshift landing strips. They deal with unpredictable weather, mechanical failures over vast wilderness, and the fact that air traffic control is often just their own intuition. If you go down in the bush, help isn't coming for a long time. They are the lifelines for remote communities, but the margin for error is thinner than the oxygen at 10,000 feet.
Ship breakers. In South Asian countries like Bangladesh, massive retired cargo ships are driven onto beaches to be dismantled by hand. Workers use blowtorches to cut through thousands of tons of steel while standing on unstable, oily surfaces. Falling debris, explosions from leftover fuel, and exposure to asbestos, lead, methane, arsenic, and cadmium without proper equipment, even having to go barefoot, are daily occurrences. It is a graveyard for ships, and unfortunately, sometimes a graveyard for the people tasked with tearing them apart. Congolese cobalt miners. Your smartphone and electric car rely on cobalt, and 70% of it comes from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Tens of thousands of artisanal miners, including children, dig for this mineral by hand in unregulated, vertical shafts that can collapse at any moment without warning. They work without masks or gloves, inhaling toxic dust that leads to fatal lung diseases and birth defects. It is a grueling modern-day version of the gold rush, where the prize is a battery for the Western world, and the price is often the life of the person digging it out of the mud. Sewer scavengers. In some parts of the world, plumbing isn't automated. Workers have to manually enter sewers to clear blockages, often without any protective gear. Beyond the obvious lack of dignity, the danger comes from toxic fumes like hydrogen sulfide, which can knock a person unconscious in seconds. It is a job that the modern world relies on, but refuses to look at, performed by people who are literally waist deep in deep waste. High-voltage line technicians. These workers maintain power lines that carry hundreds of thousands of volts. Sometimes they're dropped onto the lines via helicopter, wearing specialized suits that allow them to work directly on live wires. Workers wear Faraday cage suits, named after the English scientist Michael Faraday, who discovered the underlying principle of electromagnetism in 1836. These specialized garments are woven with conductive fibers that allows high-voltage electricity to flow around the exterior of a technician's body rather than through their vital organs, enabling them to safely perform maintenance on live power lines. However, one breach in the Faraday cage suit or an accidental grounding would result in instant vaporization. It's a high-wire act where the wire is a river of pure energy that wants to kill you. Crocodile farmers. Raising crocodiles for leather and meat involves more than just feeding time. Farmers have to handle aggressive multi-hundred-pound reptiles during health checks, egg collection, and transport. Crocodiles are ambush predators with the strongest bite force in the animal kingdom, and they don't distinguish between a bucket of fish and the arm of the person holding it. It's a career where losing your head is a very literal occupational hazard. Commercial crab fishermen. Made famous by television, this job remains one of the deadliest. Working in the Bering Sea during winter means dealing with sub-zero temperatures, 40-foot waves, and 800-pound steel cages swinging on iced-over decks. If you fall overboard in those waters, you have about 6 minutes before your body shuts down. It's a grueling test of human endurance, where nature always has the home field advantage. Guerrilla deminers in conflict zones. Unlike official specialists, these are often locals who take it upon themselves to clear their own farmland using nothing but shovels and a prayer. They have no armor, no high-tech sensors, and no backup. They do it because they have no choice. They either clear the land or they starve. It is the ultimate act of desperation, where the cost of a mistake isn't just a lost job, but a lost community. We like to think we've conquered the world with technology, but these jobs prove that someone still has to do the dirty, dangerous work that keeps civilization running. We build our comfortable lives on the backs of people who risk everything for a paycheck. Next time you're stressed about an email, just be glad you're not milking a cobra or welding a pipe at the bottom of the ocean. See you next time
assuming your desk job doesn't try to eat you.